Hello and welcome. The Rebel Preacher here, and I just wanted to give a shout out before Thanksgiving comes up next week, and I don't care how you feel about it, whether you think it's pagan or whether you think it's wrong or whatever. Just a word that I think we can all agree on. You know, one of my pet peeves is the fact that we seem to stores and everything, they get ready for Halloween, and then as soon as Halloween is over, they go straight into Christmas. And they just seem to miss that one holiday that happens every year that when I was growing up was one of the biggest, because it was one of the biggest times that families would come together. It was one of the biggest times that people would come together and just uh, come together, and just be family and stuff like that. But today it seems like that we're just pushing aside Thanksgiving. We'll put the turkeys out and the dressing stuff out and things of that nature. But there's no time for Thanksgiving. Now, thank God, because of the recent sickness and stuff that's happened, stores are taking time off, like Walmart and these other stores are finally letting their employees off for the holidays. So one thing that has come from that is the fact that people are getting time off, which is good. But in other areas, it just seems like that people in our generation today are just not thankful. We just want more and more and more, or we're complaining, or we're whining, or nothing's ever good enough. And I really feel like some of the problems that's going on today is the fact that we're just not thankful people. And by the way, this subject was recommended by a friend of mine named Joe, also works with me, actually one of my bosses. And, he said, let's talk about Thanksgiving. And we do need to talk about Thanksgiving because this is a very important subject. And I don't care if you're a Christian, Jew, Muslim, Sikh, or whatever you may be. A thankful heart is something that we all need. It's just the basic foundation of just being a good human being. I mean, there's plenty of selfish people out there. Takers is what I take it. But we need people out there to be thankful. And it don't take God for you to be thankful. You can will that upon yourself and be thankful for everything. I mean, God does definitely help in that situation. But if you have if you have food to eat, a bed to lay down on, TV to watch, which is a step up. If you've got a car to drive, a job to work at, although you may think it's the worst thing ever, if you're receiving a paycheck, you need to be thankful. No, yes, it always can be better. Life can always be better. But yet, you have to start where you're at, and that is to be thankful where you're at. I am very thankful this year where I'm at. Very happy. The only few things I changed, I want my daddy back, but, that ain't going to happen. Things of this nature. But overall, life is good. Now, I wanted to read you a section from the Urantia Bible, and the Urantian book, should say. It says, secularly, social, and political optimism is an illusion. Without God, neither freedom and liberty nor property and wealth can lead to peace. The peace here refers to being thankful. This is not the peace between human beings, but the inner peace of the individual. And they go on to say, I think that many individuals who are dissatisfied with their status in life will not find the inner peace and meaningful work that they are seeking as long as they do not have faith in God and hope in his or her outworkings in their lives. Many who are not spiritually inclined and more materialistic in their perceptions of reality are optimistic. Hardworking and well-meaning people, but their realism is still based on the secular values, not realizing that many of those values are divine in origin. As long as these values are applied without the spiritual implication, then they can turn rank, as can be seen in many revolutions that started out with hope for something much better, but turned out just as problematic as what was in its place previously. The Urantia book refers to Urantia book refers to realistic and false hope. When I began to realize in empathy that I had when I received the message to have no attachments to the outcome of my endeavors was to be a realistic as well. As hopeful from a spiritual perspective, as long as I am doing the best I can in God's will, good will come out of my endeavors, even if I may not see in manifestation of my work immediately. I remind myself of another truth I learned from the Urantia book, which is the act in mind, but the consequences are God's. Jesus had no interest in the outcome of his interactions with people. He just gave himself and moved on. So though I love those I interact with, I am learning to not place false hope in them. I place my hope in the fragment of God within them, for it is leading of the Spirit of God that empowers any of us to transform ourselves and our life. The Urantia book also indicates that true and realistic hope is only attained through God's fragment within, known as the adjuster. With the hope, we harmonize our attitudes and thoughts with the thought of the adjusters leading, and can then realize the transforming power of all of the living spiritual forces to us. It is only through divine hope that we experience transformation of human character. So God is that's what we have. We can always change. We can always change our situations, and people can always change because people can change because they have a divine spark within them. So, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Be thankful no matter where you're at. Stop griping, start crying, and let's have a good Thanksgiving. And I just, keep that spirit of thankfulness all the time. And realize you can be thankful because you have the divine spark within you. Thank you so much.